Hello, my name is Chris and today I'm going to try to debunk the omnipotence paradox. The omnipotence paradox asks something like, can God create a task that even he can perform? For instance, can God create a rock that even he can lift? Today I'm going to try to answer that. Can God create a stone so powerful even he can't lift? If yes, then he's not omnipotent, since he can't lift the stone. If not, then he's not omnipotent, since he cannot create the stone. Problems with the argument. So either God can create the stone and he's not omnipotent, or he can't and he's not omnipotent. I'm going to try to make a deductive argument based on the assumption that this argument is correct, which is not necessarily, and I will show how. 1. If God can create a stone he cannot lift, and yet doesn't, God is still omnipotent. 2. God can create a stone he cannot lift, and yet doesn't. 3. Therefore, God is still omnipotent. From the perspective where we assume the argument is correct, the problem is that God can just choose to not make such a rock in the first place. Just because he's not willing to make such a rock, that does not mean he's not able to. And if he's not willing to, and he won't do it, there's no such a rock which he cannot lift, and he also has the power to make it, and therefore he remains omnipotent. Now that my first point is clear, let's make the second point. It depends on the definition we're using for omnipotence. But what Christians and theists think of God as, from what I have noticed, is a being who can do everything that is logically possible. For example, by using this definition of omnipotence, God cannot make 2 plus 2 equal 5. That's just not how it works. It isn't logically possible. By this definition, God can make a square circle. It just doesn't exist. It's logically impossible. The same goes with a married bachelor. No such thing. The same goes with this argument. What you're basically saying in this argument is, God is defeating his omnipotence with his own omnipotence, which is basically, since God can't beat himself, God isn't all-powerful. It's like asking, can God be omnipotent and not omnipotent at the same time? The third point and the last point I want to make is that, again, if we're using the definition I just talked about earlier, then no, God can make a rock so heavy he can lift. Not because he's not omnipotent, but because it's logically contradictory to say that one is logically speaking all-powerful and yet can make something more powerful than himself in some sense.